So the Mazda MX-5, one of the most legendary two-seater convertible sports cars to ever exist. We've got excellent examples of both the Mark III and the Mark IV here today, so we can do a bit of a comparison, see what the differences are between the two. So this is the Mark III that we have in stock at the moment. It's a 2-litre Curo Edition Roadster. So it's the hardtop convertible, 2-litre, limited slip differential, built-in suspension, all the standard bits that you get on the 2-litre MX-5. And the Mark IV that we have is another lovely one. It's a 2-litre sport nav. So we've got two high-spec examples of these great cars to have a little comparison to. So driving the Mark III first. So this is of course the 2-litre example. It's 160 horsepower, 139 pound-foot of torque, and can do the 0 to 60 sprint in 7.9 seconds. So it's worth noting that this is actually the heavier of the two cars, despite being the older version. Usually, most cars you hear them just getting heavier and heavier, but Mazda actually went the other way with the Mark IV. That's a lighter car, the lightest since the Mark I in fact. Can you feel that difference? I can't say you can feel it massively, but it is worth knowing that it is there. So, to drive, both cars are obviously phenomenal. This car, straight away, what I feel is a lot of responsiveness through the steering. The gearbox is absolutely lovely. It's short, it's snappy, really lovely to rev match and heel and toe if you're into that. Sounds great as well. The MX-5s do have a brilliant exhaust note. Through these twisty country lanes you can really feel that limited slip differential pulling you through the corners as well. A lot of torque from quite low down in the revs as well. It's not one of these naturally aspirated cars where you need to really rev the nuts off it to get it to actually go anywhere. You're getting decent torque pickup from only about 2,500–3,000 revs in this car. So a quick note on fuel economy. Not that you buy one of these cars exactly to be as eco-friendly as you can be, but it is worth talking about. The Mark III definitely is not as good on fuel as the Mark IV. I quite happily see over 40 mpg on a combined run in the Mark IV, but in the Mark III I do kind of struggle to see much more than 30. So comfort-wise, I find these Mark IIIs really comfortable, to be honest. I could quite happily be in this car on longer journeys, especially this spec. It has cruise control, it's got heated leather. I would definitely recommend going for one with all of those options on it. And one very notable difference between the Mark III and the Mark IV, if you are planning on taking a passenger with you, the leg space in the passenger area of the Mark III is significantly more spacious than in the Mark IV. You also get a proper glove box in the Mark III as well, which you do not get on the Mark IV MX-5. So we're in the Mark IV MX-5 now. Quick bit of key stats. This car has got 158 horsepower, so practically the same as the Mark III. 148 pound-foot of torque, so slightly more torque. 0 to 60 is in 7.3 seconds, so again about half a second quicker than the Mark III. Now what is really notable is that this car only weighs 1,260 kilos, albeit this does have a slight advantage being the soft top and the Mark III is the hard top. Still, that is over 100 kilos difference, which is going to be quite significant. So although they have a lot of the same sort of characteristics, this does feel like a very different car. It's probably the biggest change between generations of MX-5s, between the Mark III and the Mark IV. This car feels very modernised. For the purist MX-5 fans, you're probably going to want to have the Mark III. A lot of people here don't like the Mark IV because of how much it changed, because of how modern it looks and is inside. People think that it may have lost that pure MX-5 feel. For me personally, the Mark IV is the first MX-5 that I had ever driven. I used to work for Mazda and was selling these cars new, so I don't really have that bias towards the more classic cars. So if we're just looking at the characteristics, this is obviously going to be the better car in pretty much every measurable way. It's faster, it's more economical, it's got more technology. But as we know, those things are not always the most essential. These cars, people buy them for the soul that's in these cars. It's for the driving experience. So the question really is, in the MX-5 becoming this modern car, did it lose that heart to it? Now, to be honest with you, I don't think it did. This is an absolutely wonderful car to drive. How well you can hear on the camera, I'm not sure, but it sounds brilliant. The gearbox still has that nice slick feel. And the heel toe shift is just as good as the Mark III, if not better. The tail end can go light with the traction control left on, but it will stop you before anything too silly happens. The steering feels very, very engaging still. It still feels like a proper MX-5. So, can I choose between the Mark III and 4? It is difficult, to be honest. Driving them back to back has highlighted to me that the cars are quite similar in a lot of ways. I think for a long road trip the Mark III would be better, just because I find it a little bit more comfy on the longer runs. But any other time I think it's got to be the Mark IV. So be sure to leave a comment below which car you would choose and why. I'm sure there'll be lots of differing opinions about which MX-5 is better, so I'd be curious to read some of those. So these cars are both for sale at Coles Auto Collective. We're a little used car sales business just outside of Kings Lynn in Norfolk. We've kind of worked our way up over the last 2 years, started with cheaper cars, and now we're starting to get some of these nicer cars, such as the two MX-5s that you've seen today. So we're going to be making more content with some of the nice cars that we have and that we have in the future. So if you want to check those out, please do feel free to give us a follow.